Have you ever noticed that the more you try to avoid something, the more it seems to show up in your life? It's a strange phenomenon that many of us experience, yet few truly understand. This paradox is at the heart of one of life's most important lessons. What you resist persists. Today we're going to explore this concept in depth, uncovering why it happens and how we can use this knowledge to create positive changes in our lives. Let's start by talking about resistance. What exactly do we mean when we say we're resisting something? In simple terms, resistance is our attempt to push away or avoid certain thoughts, feelings, or situations. It's that inner struggle we feel when we're faced with something we don't want to deal with. We might resist negative emotions, difficult conversations, or even positive changes that feel uncomfortable. The persistence part of this paradox is where things get interesting. Despite our best efforts to avoid what we're resisting, it often seems to stick around or even grow stronger. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the more forcefully it pops back up. This persistence can show up in many ways. Maybe you've tried to stop thinking about something, only to find it constantly on your mind. Or perhaps you've attempted to avoid a certain type of person or situation, only to find yourself repeatedly encountering it. Why does this happen? The answer lies in the way our minds work. When we resist something, we're actually giving it a lot of our attention and energy. Our brains are designed to focus on what we consider important, and by actively trying to avoid something, we're signaling to our minds that this thing is very important indeed. It's a bit like telling someone not to think about a pink elephant. Suddenly, that's all they can think about. There's actually some fascinating science behind this phenomenon. Psychologists have studied what happens when we try to suppress thoughts, and the results are eye-opening. When we make a conscious effort to not think about something, our brains have to constantly monitor our thoughts to make sure we're not thinking about that thing. This monitoring process keeps the very thought we're trying to avoid at the forefront of our minds. Moreover, research has shown that thought suppression can lead to a rebound effect. This means that after a period of successfully avoiding a thought, it often comes back even stronger than before. It's as if our minds are making up for lost time by giving extra attention to the suppressed thought. This persistence doesn't just affect our thoughts. It can have a significant impact on our emotions too. When we resist feelings, we often create additional layers of emotion. For example, if we resist feeling sad, we might end up feeling frustrated about feeling sad, creating a complex tangle of emotions. This can lead to increased stress and anxiety as we expend more and more energy trying to control our inner experiences. So if resistance isn't the answer, what is? This is where the concept of acceptance comes in. Acceptance doesn't mean liking or wanting something negative in your life. Instead, it's about acknowledging what is, without judgment. When we accept our thoughts and feelings, even the uncomfortable ones, we often find that they lose some of their power over us. Practicing acceptance might seem counterintuitive at first. After all, we're often taught that the way to deal with problems is to fight against them. But acceptance isn't about giving up or resigning yourself to negative situations. It's about creating space for all of your experiences, which paradoxically often leads to positive change. Let's look at some practical ways to start practicing non-resistance. One simple technique is mindful observation. When you notice yourself resisting something, try to step back and observe your thoughts and feelings without trying to change them. Imagine you're watching them pass by like clouds in the sky. This can help create some distance between you and your experiences, making them feel less overwhelming. Another helpful approach is to practice self-compassion. Often, we resist difficult emotions because we believe we shouldn't be feeling them, but all emotions are valid and serve a purpose. Try treating yourself with kindness when you're struggling, just as you would a good friend. You might also find it helpful to use language that promotes acceptance. Instead of saying, "I shouldn't feel this way," try, "It's okay to feel this way." This small shift can make a big difference in how you relate to your experiences. As you begin to reduce resistance in your life, you may notice some surprising benefits. Many people find that they feel more relaxed and at peace when they're not constantly fighting against their experiences. Relationships often improve as we become more accepting of ourselves and others. You might even find that you have more energy as you're not spending so much of it on resistance. One of the most powerful shifts that can occur when we practice non-resistance is a change in how we view challenges. Instead of seeing difficulties as things to be avoided at all costs, we can start to see them as opportunities for growth and learning. This doesn't mean that challenges become easy, but it does mean that we can approach them with more openness and curiosity. It's important to note that reducing resistance is a process, not a one-time event. You'll likely find that you still resist things sometimes, and that's okay. The goal isn't to never resist anything ever again, but to become more aware of when you're resisting, and to have tools to work with that resistance. As you practice non-resistance in your own life, you might start to notice its effects rippling out into your interactions with others. When we're more accepting of ourselves, we often become more accepting of others too. This can lead to more harmonious relationships and even contribute to positive changes in our communities. The concept of what you resist persists isn't just about avoiding negative outcomes. It's also about opening yourself up to the full range of human experiences. By letting go of resistance, you create space for new possibilities and deeper connections, both with yourself and with others. The main points we've covered: we've explored how resistance often leads to persistence, looked at the science behind this phenomenon, and discussed the emotional impact of constantly fighting against our experiences. We've also explored acceptance as an alternative to resistance, and looked at practical ways to incorporate this approach into our lives. The journey of reducing resistance is a personal one, and everyone's path will look different. Some days it might feel easy, while other days it might be more challenging. The key is to approach it with patience and self-compassion. As you move forward, consider the areas in your life where you might be experiencing resistance. Are there thoughts or feelings you're constantly trying to push away? Are there situations you're always trying to avoid? These might be good places to start practicing acceptance. Remember, this isn't about forcing yourself to like things you don't enjoy. It's about creating a more peaceful relationship with all aspects of your life, even the difficult ones. By doing so, you may find that some of the things you've been resisting naturally start to shift or become less prominent in your life. It's also worth noting that there may be times when taking action to change a situation is appropriate. The key is to approach that action from a place of acceptance of what is, rather than resistance to it. This often leads to clearer thinking and more effective solutions. As you begin to work with the idea that what you resist persists, you might encounter some challenges. It's common to fall back into old patterns of resistance, especially when faced with particularly difficult situations. When this happens, try to be gentle with yourself. Remember that this is a practice, and like any skill, it takes time to develop. One helpful approach when you find yourself struggling is to remind yourself why you're doing this. What are the potential benefits of reducing resistance in your life? How might your life be different if you were able to accept things more readily? Keeping these motivations in mind can help you stay committed to the practice, even when it feels challenging. It can also be helpful to start small. You don't need to tackle your biggest sources of resistance right away. Begin with minor annoyances or small worries, and as you build your skills, you can apply them to more significant areas of your life. As you continue on this journey, you might find it helpful to keep a journal of your experiences. Writing about times when you noticed resistance and how you worked with it can provide valuable insights. It can also be encouraging to look back and see how far you've come. The goal isn't to become a person who never experiences resistance. Resistance is a natural human response, and it can sometimes be useful. The aim is to become more aware of when you're resisting and to have choices about how you respond. As we come to the end of our exploration of this fascinating paradox, I encourage you to reflect on your own experiences with resistance. Have you noticed areas in your life where what you resist has persisted? How might your life be different if you approach these areas with acceptance instead? This concept of what you resist persists is a powerful tool for personal growth and self-understanding. By working with it, you have the opportunity to create more peace and freedom in your life. You may find that as you reduce resistance, you're able to engage more fully with life, experiencing both its joys and challenges with greater equanimity. Remember, this is your journey. There's no right or wrong way to apply these ideas, and what works best for you may be different from what works for someone else. Trust your own experiences and intuition as you explore this concept in your life. As you move forward from here, I encourage you to stay curious. Notice when resistance comes up in your daily life. What does it feel like in your body? What thoughts accompany it? And most importantly, what happens when you practice accepting whatever is arising just as it is? This practice of working with resistance isn't just about personal benefit. As you become more accepting of your own experiences, you may find that you're able to extend that acceptance to others as well. This can lead to more compassionate and understanding relationships, creating a positive ripple effect in your community and beyond. In a world that often encourages us to fight against anything we don't like, choosing acceptance can be a radical act. It's a way of saying yes to life in all its complexity, of opening ourselves up to the full spectrum of human experience. As we close, I want to thank you for exploring this important topic. The fact that you've taken the time to learn about this concept suggests that you're someone who's interested in personal growth and understanding. That curiosity and willingness to learn is a powerful force for positive change in your life. Remember, working with resistance is an ongoing practice. There may be times when you find it easy and other times when it feels incredibly challenging. Both experiences are normal and part of the journey. The key is to keep coming back to it, to keep noticing, and to keep choosing acceptance when you can. I encourage you to take what you've learned here and experiment with it in your daily life. Notice when resistance arises and see what happens when you practice acceptance instead. You may be surprised by the changes that unfold. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of one of life's great paradoxes. I hope you found it valuable and that it provides you with tools to create more peace and freedom in your life. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to practice acceptance, to let go of resistance, and to open yourself up to the fullness of life. As you go forward from here, carry this knowledge with you. Let it inform your choices, guide your responses, and help you navigate the complexities of life. And most importantly, be kind to yourself as you practice. Change doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent effort and self-compassion, remarkable transformations are possible. Thank you for your attention and openness. I wish you all the best on your journey of growth and self-discovery. Remember, what you resist persists, but what you accept can transform. Here's to embracing life in all its complexity and finding peace in the process.